Well, hello. First of all, happy Easter. I'm taking the readings today from the Mass during the day on Easter Sunday, obviously. And these are very much celebrating the fact that Jesus is risen. And so we have Peter speaking to the crowd and basically saying, look, you know what's already happened. He went about doing good. He healed those who were oppressed by the devil. Uh, we are witnesses to all that he did. They put him to death by hanging him on a tree. Now, of course, that phrase goes back to Deuteronomy. This is if you like, the worst way of punishment that was envisaged even in the Old Testament. And now you have God raised him from the dead, granted that he be visible not to all people, but to us, the witnesses, etc., who ate and drank with him after he rose from the dead. He commissioned us to preach to the people. So there, in very, very simple terms, you have Peter just laying out, look, this is what happened. And it's so taken for granted in the way that Peter is speaking that it makes it all the more obvious. There's no theatrics here. There's no brass bands walking around. There's no special lighting effects. This is just Peter saying, look, this is what we saw. This is what we saw. This is what we saw. And it's just a magnificent way to essentially tell the truth by simply not embroidering it at all. Next, you have the responsorial psalm, which is 118. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. There's a lot here, obviously, but we don't have time for that. The second reading is from Paul's letter to the Colossians. If you were raised with Christ, seek what is above. That's basically the instruction. So now that you've been baptized, you have been raised with Christ, and therefore you should seek the higher order of things. So if you go to court, be honest. If you are looking to understand what's going on politically, look at it from the highest perspective, the highest moral perspective. Because in fact, ultimately, you are looking at a world where God is looking down on the world. And you know that. You know how you stand, that what you do, what you say, what you think is all in the sight of God. Next, then, we have the gospel, and this is one of the resurrection appearances. Mary Magdalene sees the empty tomb, goes and tells Peter and John. They go to the tomb, and so they look in, see the burial cloths, but don't go in. When Simon Peter arrives after him, he goes in and sees the burial cloths, and the one who had arrived at the tomb first, which is John, he saw and believed, because they did not understand that the scripture that he had to rise from the dead. So what you're dealing with here is, again, the simple narrative, unembroidered, and it is that should give us great joy. This is the day of the Lord. Have a beautiful day.